I think if I hear you call me Becky one more time, six-pack, I'm gonna pop your tops. All six of them.
Chris is in charge.
The parents have left.
Chris can handle it.
And the adventure is about to begin.
Hey, I like danger.
You should try babysitting.
You could say they were having a bad night if they weren't having such a good time.
He must be a great babysitter.
Adventures in Babysitting, rated PG-13. Starts Wednesday, July 1st at a theater near you. Check newspaper.
Hey, this is Matt once again. Welcome back to another review. This is another PayPal request, this time for Brock, and it's for the Adventures of Babysitting. Now, first off, thank you so much for the request. If anyone wants to request pretty much any type of video, you do so by sending a request directly via my PayPal or by joining me on my Patreon. The links are down below in the info box. If not, no worries, but if so, thank you. But I've always enjoyed this film. I've always enjoyed it ever since I saw this as a kid. And it's funny watching it again how this is not a movie, well, I can't even say that. I said this is a movie that would not be made today, but they did remake it. I didn't see it, granted, but they did remake the movie. It was like for Disney Channel or some, I don't remember what. But I was saying because some of the lines of dialogue in this is pretty un-PC. But, hate to be a bearer of bad news, that's how kids talk. And they talk a lot worse today. And I always forget this is directed by Chris Columbus, who later on would direct Home Alone, among many other films. And the story of the film, you have Elisabeth Shue, which I remember from her big role in Back to the Future 2. I think a long time ago on my older channel, I always got mixed up with Leah Thompson. But Elisabeth Shue, she would go on to be in films like Hollow Man, and I think she was in Piranha 3D, I believe. I liked her as an actress. Before this, she was in a film called Link, which I didn't mind, with her and Terrence Stamp. Pretty much she's supposed to be going on this date. Things don't work out, and they say, hey, you could babysit these kids. She does. You have an older kid played by Teeth Coogan. You have a little girl, and then Teeth Coogan's buddy comes by. His character's name is Daryl. So then one day, well, not one day, at one point she gets a phone call, and her friend is at a train station, and she's scared, and she wants to go home, and she doesn't know what to do. So she decides to go pick up her friend. She doesn't want to leave the kids there, so she drives them along with her into the city, and a whole chain of events come upon our characters, where the flat tire, whole set of characters, mechanics with hook for hands, carjackers, singing at a blues concert or blues bar, almost in the middle of a gang fight in a fucking train, all sorts of crazy stuff. And I thought it went at a fast pace. I liked the soundtrack. I mean, it begins with, and then he kissed me, which I remember the first time I heard that song was on the VHS tape of Predator with Arnold Schwarzenegger, because I saw that tape so many times. I remember the trailers. It was a teaser to Revenge of the Nerds Part 2, and it was a trailer to The Pickup Artist with Robert Downey Jr. and Molly Ringwald. And the trailer to The Pickup Artist had that song. That's at the beginning of this film. I also enjoyed the song, 25 miles to go, yeah. So the soundtrack is fun. I thought that Elisabeth Shue did a good job. Steve Coogan, it's sad that he didn't really go to have much of a career, because looking up, I mean, he was in Don't Tell Mom the Babysitter's Dead, which I think the first part of that movie's fine, but then when most of the film is like Working Girl Part 2, it just lost a lot of interest. I was not a fan of the movie. I think if the entire movie was about this babysitter thing, anyway, I'm just not a fan of that movie. I like this movie a lot more. And they both have babysitter in the title. But yeah, Steve Coogan sadly did not do a lot. He was in Toy Soldiers, which I didn't mind, but he was in a supporting capacity. But he didn't get to do a lot. And I thought he did fine. I like the guy who plays the buddy. He's a bit of a smart ass. The little girl was not annoying, was not too irritating. And like I said, it was interesting watching it again how un-PC it is. Almost refreshingly so. Oh, and another fun thing is that the little girl, before it was cool to like him, was a fan of Thor. Nowadays, people, well, some like Thor because of the movies, but you never heard anyone talk about Thor back then. I mean, this came out, what, 1987? Who the hell was talking about Thor back then? But she did. She was a big fan. She read Thor. She had artwork of Thor in her room. She had a little Thor helmet on. And speaking of the dialogue, I mean, Steve Coogan pisses his little sister off by saying, Thor's a homo. You would never hear that dialogue today, especially in a film that I always thought of this as kind of a kid's film, but it's not really a kid's film. But I guess I just thought of it because it's babysitting and all of them kind of young. I think even Elisabeth Shue says her character's 17. I don't know if she was really 17 at this time, but she says her character's 17. And then the others are younger. So yeah, I always thought this is a kid's film, but again, you got Thor's a homo. You got Playboy magazines. Of course, one of the most memorable scenes is when they're almost in the middle of this fight between these two gangs. And then one guy goes, don't fuck with the lords of hell. And then throws the knife down and gets in Steve Coogan's shoe. And then Elisabeth Shue picks up and is like, don't fuck with the babysitters. I'm like, wow, this film is not rated R. And they got away with 2 fucks, saying Thor's a homo, Playboy magazines. Man, back then you could get away with shit. Not today. Today we're too pussified and too fucking cancel culture and, oh my god, he looked at me wrong, cancel him. Fucking hate it of today. I fucking hate being in today. God damn. Take me back, please, to the 80s and 90s. Please. Where some sense. Maybe people need to start doing fucking cocaine like they did in the 80s. Then what you did, people to calm the fuck down. Cocaine calms people down. Well, I mean, it got them to make better fucking movies. I know that. Anyway. But that's definitely one of my favorite scenes. Don't fuck with the babysitter. But yeah, I thought the family, the characters worked well together. Again, the guy who played Daryl, I should get his name. Get the names of them. I thought it was cool that the the mechanic they meet who has the hook for a hand, he wasn't a bad guy. He was actually a very nice guy. I know the character's name was Handsome John Pruitt. I just thought it was cool that they made him... It would be easy and somewhat typical to make him a snarling, evil guy, but they didn't. I thought that was rather refreshing. Some other actors I recognize. There was one guy, I believe his name was Kelvin Levels. He's a guy who is the carjacker, but he's a nice guy. He doesn't want to hurt the family or anything. He was Chuck Norris's partner in Hellbound, which is a film I do enjoy. Elisabeth Shue is Chris Parker, Keith Coogan, Anthony Rapp, that's his name, as Daryl. I thought he did a good job. Maia Brewton as Sarah, the little girl. See, Anthony Rapp, has he done anything since? Mainly TV work. Penelope Ann Miller, who would go on to be in films like The Relic. She was actually the friend in the train station. That's one thing I will say is a nitpick for me. I didn't really care for any of that. Penelope, I get that you set it up, but honestly, I don't think we ever needed to come back to her in the train station. You could have set it up, oh my god, she steered, and then stick with our four main characters. Because all the shtick with Penelope Ann Miller, I didn't really find interesting. Whether it be she has her glasses off as if she's fucking Velma from Scooby-Doo and she thinks she's a kitten but it's actually a big rat, or she has this bum trying to get into the phone booth because, get out of my house. I just didn't care about any of that. Other people, Bradley Whitford, that's right, that was him. He's the guy who changes his plans on Elisabeth Shue at the beginning, and then you find out that he's a two-faced prick. But Bradley Whitford plays that a lot because he also played it at Billy Madison. He was the bad guy in that. And he was also a villain in Get Out. Almost forgot he was in Get Out. Yeah, he was the Dean Armitage. But yeah, the bad guy in Billy Madison. And of course, Vincent D'Onofrio is in this as the guy with more of a tow truck driver, but Vincent D'Onofrio's character is more of a mechanic. And because of the way he looks, of course, the little girl thinks he's Thor. Because he's got the hair, and instead of the helmet, he's got a cap on, and he's got this big hammer. I don't know what the hell he was using that hammer for, but he's got this big hammer, like a sledgehammer. And he's like, nah, I mean, come on, we set a certain price, you don't have enough. And then she, oh, I know why you're not acting yourself. You got a cap on. Here, take mine. You know, she's being so sweet, so he eases up. So I thought that was kind of a sweet little scene. It was cool to see Vincent D'Onofrio in a different role compared to Full Metal Jacket, which is around the same time as this. And again, I like Vincent D'Onofrio as an actor. I always forget that he's in this movie. I'm like, yeah, he plays Thor. That's right, he played Thor before Thor. In a way, so. I mean, the whole stuff with the bad guys chasing after them because one of them stole this magazine, but it has important info the bad guys want. It was there. I wouldn't say it interested me a whole lot, but it was there to keep the plot going. You have the scene where they're running away and then they're in this blues club, this bar, and the guy's like, No one leaves, how did he put it? No one leaves until they sing the blues. And so they sing the babysitter blues. They make it up on the top of their head. Fun little scene. An entertaining scene because the cast members are getting into it as they're pretty much telling the story of what's been going on throughout the night. And it's a film where the characters are fun to watch. The actors do their jobs well. It goes at a fast pace. Again, the only stuff I didn't really care for is Penelope Ann Miller stuff in the train station. Because I'm like, I want to get back to the other characters. I like them more. I don't give a shit about Penelope Ann Miller. It's your stupid fault all this is happening. It's your fucking dumbass fault for being here. It's your stupid ass fault for not finding a way to get back. You're the reason all this is happening. Just quit your whining. Get face down. And defuck. No, I'm just kidding. I just didn't really care about that character, really. I just didn't care about her at all, to be perfectly honest and blunt. But I like the other characters. And yeah, other than that, there's really nothing that was too out of place. Again, it was interesting that people acted and talked naturally, and they were not forcing agendas down your throat. They were not trying to get brownie points or anything. They were just telling a story. And I'll say this, it's better than the Sitter. Is that what it's called with the... Oh my god, I know his name. I cannot believe I cannot remember his name. He was in Superbad. He was in 21 Jump Street. Oh my god, are you serious? I cannot remember his name. Anyway, there was a movie called The Sitter that I thought kind of tried to do the same thing, only it was trying to be very gross and Jonah Hill. I don't know why I couldn't think of his name. Like The Sitter from 2011, it seemed like it was trying to be a wannabe remake of Adventures of Babysitting, but we got a little more extreme, and to me, it just didn't fit. Like this, there's still un-PC dialogue, but it still had a fun nature to it. It did have that, the adventure in the title fits well. It still has that adventurous quality to it. It's not a film that is cringeworthy just for kids. Adults can watch it and be perfectly fine. Has a little bit of edge to it, but nothing too over the top with farts and shit, you know, any of that stuff. And this is a movie that, even to this day, I enjoyed it when I was a kid. I still enjoy it to this day. I think it holds up. I even like the poster. The poster where it looks painted and the carriers on the side of the building. It sucks that this came out with a anniversary edition and there's nothing on it. You know what? It'd be nice to hear interviews. It's not like these people are doing much. Interviews. How was the movie made? How did the plot come about? I mean, obviously someone thought it was successful enough to do a fucking remake of it. Let alone a wannabe remake with The Sitter. So there's The Sitter, and then there's a remake actually called Adventures of Babysitting. I forgot what year that came out. No, I did not see it. But yeah, this, still enjoy it. Still a fun movie. Still got some chuckles out of me. Still a likable cast. And very competent directed by Chris Columbus. So I just see why someone would look at this and go, okay, let's get him for this movie called Home Alone. And that definitely helped with his career. But yeah, thanks for watching. Take care, and we will see you guys later. Bye-bye.